Share screen. Presenting. Okay. And we're live. Okay, so if Sarita, if you can, will you unmute and just let me know that you guys can see my screen, pretty please?
I can see it.
Okay, awesome. All right. So we are live. I'm just going to pin this. Oh, crap. Hold on. Dang it. Good old technology. Gotta love it. Zoom meeting ID. All right, so if you are on Instagram, I'm just going to say this one more. Hi, Noah. I'm just going to say this one more time. We are on Zoom, so you're definitely gonna want to head over there. But I'm rolling. I'm not going to keep giving that disclaimer. So welcome everybody who logged into Zoom. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me this week with all of the technical difficulties we are pushing through. I hope, especially if you are entrepreneurs, but just as women in general, I hope you're inspired this week by what it looks like to not be stopped by opposition, but to always be solution-based and press forward and move on. So today we are on day 5 of the Love on Top 5-day challenge, the remix, and this is the masterclass. So today, we're really going to dive deeper into how to communicate like a queen. Yesterday, we kind of set the tone where we talked about, where we talked about the different ways that you can express yourself. And so today we're going to go even deeper on that. And so I really want to just set the tone for you guys of why spend the next 2 hours of your life with me. I know you can be anywhere, you could be doing anything. And many of you women probably are doing multiple things right now. And I am going to say, if you're able to just sit down, get a notebook and a pen and give yourself the next 2 hours, one of the biggest gifts that I have learned over the years of self-mastery is multitasking saves women and mothers, but it kills productivity and flow and feminine energy, because it's like when we're trying to do too many things at once, we really sabotage the beautiful act of being present. And so I am going to also caution you that our attention spans are super, super small these days. And so it really requires you to be present so that you can consume everything, because if you're doing a bunch of stuff, your brain's in a bunch of different places. So give yourself the gift. I'm going to be blessing you today with tons of value. So just a quick recap. We're on day 5, day 1 through 4. We covered how to be the vibe. It's all about bringing that energy back. Energy doesn't lie. When you walk in a room, when you're in a relationship, how are people experiencing you? Are you confident? Are you bold? Are you powerful? Are you unapologetic? Are you authentic? And are you soft and genuine and generous? And so what is your vibe? How is your partner experiencing you? And so we talked about the V, the I, the B, and the E of what creates the vibe. And that was vision, playing like a team with your partner. Identity, knowing who you are, knowing who they are, knowing who you guys expect each other to be in the relationship. Belief, what are you believing about your partner? What are you believing about relationships? And therefore, what are you creating? Because what you focus on expands. And then expression, how are you expressing yourself? Do you know yourself? Do you love yourself? Are you being yourself? And from those things, are you able to positively and effectively communicate and express yourself? So another reason why you want to hang out with me today is because today we officially open the doors to season 4 of Her Playbook. I'm so excited. This is going to be a new version of the program. So I'm actually redoing the workbooks and the modules. I've been working on that for several months, reworking it based on how I feel like it will be most effective. So even if you're a former Her Playbooker, you want to stick around to hear about the new changes, and to for all of you ladies who are interested to see how you can take that next step to joining us. So before we jump in, let's say a prayer. And one more time, because there's lots of people on Instagram, I'm going to say this prayer and then I'm going to move into the masterclass. So if you're on Instagram, you want to join us on Zoom, which is why the link is pinned there. So, all right, God, we come to you right now in the name of Jesus. And I just thank you, God, for this week. I thank you for each and every one of the women who have given themselves the gift of tuning into content, not being prideful or know-it-all or too busy, but just being open to receive and available to receive, God. I thank you that they have invested this time in themselves, God, and that they have learned new perspectives and new tools to help them in being the vibe, God, because we know that you, excuse me, you created us perfectly in your image. And when we tap back into our pure essence of how you created us, we are pure love and pure light, God. And so I just ask that you will continue to reveal to us the areas of our lives that are blocking us from being this pure essence that you created us to be, and that you will continue to allow us to master those areas of ourselves so that we can bring our best selves to our life and our relationship, God. I just ask that you bind up any technical difficulties, any barriers, any obstacles, any distractions today, that you just cast them out, God, in the name of Jesus, so that we can be present and that we can be fulfilled in this moment, God. I just thank you for the breakthroughs and the transformations that are going to fall upon each and every one of our lives just for this moment that we're investing of our time, God, that this is going to be blessed tenfold for generations to come just from what we're going to learn today, God. I'm expecting that, and I'm praying that in your name, that it is already done, and that even if we don't see the fruits of that today, that we trust and we know and we believe that it's going to come to fruition throughout our lives and the generations to come, God. So I thank you that we're not taking this lightly. I thank you that we realize that relationships are a good thing, and that marriage is a good thing, and that the family is the unit, God, that the devil is trying to destroy right now, God. So I just pray for families, and I just pray that you cover them, bless them, protect them, keep them, God, renew them, because there's lots of resentment and anger and buildup and unforgiveness, God. And so I just ask that you soften hearts today, and that you will speak through me, God, lessen my flesh, my ego, my pride, my perfectionism, my wanting to please and look good and sound good and do good, but to just be the vessel, God. I just ask that you speak through me freely and open the hearts and the minds so that what is needed to be heard will be heard, God. I ask this in your name, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, so let's dive in. So by the end of this masterclass, you are going to be able to identify what's getting in the way of healthy communication with you and your partner, develop tools to apply in your life so that you can see those changes in the way that you and your partner connect and communicate. You're going to experience a new level of trust. I'm praying that when you walk away from this masterclass, you are going to understand what that feels like to be open and vulnerable and tapped into this queen energy, so that everything you touch moving forward is confident and bold and expressive. You're going to collect tons of examples as you've been all week, and ideas and tips on how you can implement these things right away to see transformation. And you're going to have the opportunity, of course, to keep the party going and continue learning and growing and putting these principles into practice with accountability by stepping into her playbook if that's what you choose to do. And so this is for you. I mean, if you're here, we know that you're, a great candidate of this being for you, but this is really for you if you're wanting to deepen your communication. You want to feel seen and heard. Maybe you're tired of feeling like you and your partner just aren't getting along. You're arguing about the same things. You want to learn how to speak in a way that you're respecting your man and you feel respected by him. You want to deepen the connection and intimacy. You want more meaningful conversations. Maybe you feel like you and your man don't have that much in common. You don't have that much that you guys talk about because you're in that mundane day-to-day, back and forth, marriage incorporated, as I've learned it to be called. And you wish there was less arguing. You want to have more in common with your man. You want that thriving relationship that's going to take your life to the next level. Because I don't know if you realize this, but when your relationship is solid, we're better together. And so when your home unit, when your family unit is thriving, so is everything you touch. So if you're trying to run a business, if you're trying to start a career, if you're trying to be successful outside of the home, I promise you it will never go where you desire it to go until your home is intact, because our homes are our first ministry. I'll never forget when I woke up to that, when I realized that I was doing all this work to save the world around me, but my internal world was crumbling. So we're going to focus on that internal world. And of course, one of the biggest things that people don't always talk about publicly, but many, many, many women are suffering with, is a better sex life, more amazing sex. And I believe that, yes, you can, like I heard TD Jakes say in a sermon, you can move your tummy to your back, you can get your boobies done, you can get all the face fixing that you want to do, makeup, hair, clothes, toys, new tricks in the bedroom, but nothing trumps being the vibe, which is what we covered all week. Your energy is what sets you apart from the Barbie look. You know, so yes, I'm an advocate of keeping yourself up and looking the part, but nothing will trump that energy that you yield inside. So this is not for you if you are in a life-threatening or toxic abusive relationship that you know deep down inside is not for you. If you are in a relationship that is constantly, at war and you're not safe, then this masterclass is not the first stop. You need to go get real professional. And not that this isn't real professional help, but like specific professional help to help with abuse, addiction, things like that. This is for the women who are in a pretty good relationship. You're not sure if it's in turmoil because of you or him. Most of you probably think it's him because you haven't done the work yet, but after this week, you can start to see, dang, I've had my hand in the pot too. So these are for the women who, like myself, relationship has great potential, but wasn't in its best form because you were not your best version of yourself. So again, if you're at risk, please know that this is not the first step. This can really only help two people who have a good thing that you just need to work on. If you're not willing to see your side of it, where you have a hand in it, where you're 100% responsible, then this is not going to help you. If you're a know-it-all, if you're like, oh, that's just Crystal, I'm not going to learn anything from her, I already know everything, I do this, I do that, and you're not open to receive today, you won't receive today, because what we expect, we create. And so if you expect today that you're going to get a word, that you're going to get a breakthrough, that you're going to get a blessing, then you definitely want to stay. But if you're like, I don't even know, blah, 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 then you may not get anything. And lastly, it's not for you if you're not committed to applying, because if you don't apply what I teach you today, what you've learned this week, if you're not going to dig in and do the journal exercises and all those things, then you're really just not going to see the fruits of it. So if you're ready to know the secrets of communicating like a queen, then let's jump in. Let's not waste any more time. Throughout today, the three things that I'm going to cover to bring this to life, number one is knowing that you're a queen. So how to know what a queen is. We're going to go over what that looks like, how to embody that. And then we're going to end with mastering the rules of engagement. And so that's going to be more of like the 10 commandments of healthy communication. And some of that will be a little bit of a recap of this week, but it'll be going deeper. So you're in for a treat. So if this is your first time tuning in to this challenge, a little bit about myself, I am on a mission to reverse the painfully high divorce rates. Divorce is upward of 50%. And in the pro athlete world, it's upward of 80%. And I heard a stat from a sports psychologist that said the number one reason for that is the woman not having an identity outside of her man. And I personally believe it's from the man and the woman not having their identities, because as we've learned this week, your identity must be anchored in Christ. It must be Christ-like. It must be love. It must be light. It must be self-aware. It must be the vibe, right? And so I believe that when you lack this form of self-awareness and rootedness in your spirit versus your flesh, then you're going to be in a war of a relationship, and it's going to be really hard to make it work. And so people get tired, you just get tired of arguing and not communicating properly and being short and distant and just kind of coexisting and feeling like roommates. And so I'm on a mission to really wake women up to two things happen when you work with me. You either come into alignment with who you are and realize that you're not a match for the person you're with. And that's not my hope. I do believe that God can mend any relationships, but some people do realize that. Some people get the power to walk away. And most people wake up to, oh my gosh, this whole time I thought it was him, and I had so much power in shifting the atmosphere, and they apply the tools that they learn and they see major results. So my work is based off of years of experience. I've been with my husband for 17 years. We have 5 daughters. So we've navigated the ups, the downs. We've gone through retirement. We've made it through those ups and downs. And I fell into the relationship realm because as my relationship hit a pitfall, I went from doing self-development and life coaching to really focusing on what makes a healthy relationship. So I've been studying relationships for the past 3-4 years. I've done a couple of trainings. I did a PhD program, not like a school program, but it's like a mastering leadership PhD program to learn these tools that I now, in that program, I had to create a thesis, and my thesis was what you now know as her playbook. Well, you may not know it yet, but that's what her playbook is. So my work is not just me talking. It is backed by research. It's backed by real tangible tools that work. And it's backed by tons and tons of testimonies of women who have applied it and seen results. So I believe that communication is the glue to a healthy relationship. This is why I saved this day for last. It's why I'm so excited about it. It's why I couldn't sleep last night, because I love waking women up to the potential of how things can shift when you just learn to healthily, and I don't know if that's a word, communicate. So I'm going to see if I can see the chat. I really feed off of your guys' energy. So it's going to really help me to hear from you in the chat. Give me an amen. It's just like going to church. The pastor likes to hear from you. If I don't feel your energy, I'm going to think I'm not hitting it on the head, and I'm going to feel like I need to pivot, right? So if something's resonating with you, give me an amen, give me the energy, right? But also right now, to start it off, to just get your fingers working in the chat, I would love to hear from you. What does communicating like a queen mean to you? So when you think of a queen, what do you think of? Regal, powerful, confident. What do you think of? And while you guys are doing that, I'm just editing something over here. Okay. Calm, assertive, confident, listens to understand, not just to hear. Ooh, that's a good one. Lots of confident, calm, cool, collected. I love it. I love it. It sounds like Anissa's been doing my work. Okay, I love it. Thank you guys for participating. Not raising my voice. Whew, I'm not a queen. No, I'm just kidding. Not being a smartass, not talking down, keeping calm. These are so good. So it's great. Amen. Communicating like a queen to me is having the power to control your tongue and use edifying, uplifting words. Yes to all of the above. And it's great for you guys to anchor in this in the chat, because you already know what it looks like to be a queen. And so one of the things that you're really going to walk away from today and from doing this work over time, whether you do it with me in her playbook or whether you do it somewhere else, I highly recommend you work on your emotional intelligence, you work on your self-development, because your self-awareness, your self-development is where you start to learn how to override and hold your tongue and to move in the spirit versus the flesh. So much of what you guys just said, a queen is, first of all, one of my new favorite quotes, a queen is too powerful to be petty. So yes, a queen holds her tongue. She is not popping off at the mouth. When I think and picture a queen, I picture just like this image you guys see, her head is held high, her shoulders are back. She is not begging for attention. She is not playing victim. She's not moving in a frantic. She is calm. She's cool. I picture queens like slowly like floating through rooms that they walk in. I picture when queens arrive somewhere, everybody is gravitating to her. Picture all the movies we've seen where there's queen. It's like when the doors open and the queen enters, everyone comes. All hail the queen. We're bowing down. So this is the energy I want you to start embodying. I want you to start picturing when you're operating. If you want a king, then you better be a queen, because one of the mottos that you got to walk away from is be what you want to receive. And so many women don't realize that they're pointing the fingers. He ain't shit. He's this, he's that. He doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do that. Have you ever stopped and thought maybe it's because you're not showing up like that? See, deep down, I always knew I was a queen, but I didn't move like a queen. I was calling people, checking phone records, in the phone, cussing him out, talking down to him. Queens don't move like that. Queens do not move like that. So she's calm, she's cool, she's collected, she's consistent. How many of you guys can relate to that? I know me and Asia were just talking about this. 1 minute we're like, God is so good. My husband called me out on this recently. He's like, what? I literally just went in on him and cussed him out, a good one. Like, it had been a while. I saw a reel yesterday where she said, like, when your husband forgets how you were before you got saved. And that's what happened to me. I forgot how I was when I wasn't filled with the Holy Spirit, and I lost it, and I cussed him smooth out. And the first thing he did was, what happened to all that Bible talk you've been talking? What happened to that God talk you've been talking? So a queen is consistent. She's not one day a crazy mess and the next day a calm, collected queen. Now don't get me wrong. No one's perfect, not even queens. So I also picture queens being calm, cool, and collected, but behind closed doors, they got some shit too. They're humans too. But what queens do differently is they don't show those cards. And this is something, as a very vulnerable and transparent person, I used to always think, I wear my emotion on my sleeve. I wear my brain on my sleeve. I don't need to hide. You're going to get the same crystal here and later. But what I'm learning with wisdom and discernment is that the way I show up doesn't have to always reflect what's happening in my mind and in my emotions. So a queen knows how to handle the mess so that the people and the things around her don't crumble. And then she has her counsel behind closed doors, her board of directors, her people who are helping her to be calm and cool and talk her back down and remind her who she is, right? So this doesn't mean that you're perfect. It just means you learn how to control yourself when you're in, in the heat of emotion. And so I just parentheses the praise break, because we learned this week, and I believe it's one of my most powerful tools that I've created from all of my work. If you learn to take a praise break, you will learn to operate like a queen, because the praise break allows you to stop, think before you act. And it's like stop, drop, and roll. Like stop, don't move, don't act, don't speak, right? So a queen is not stooping down to the people below her. A powerful quote that I heard once that has stuck with me is, she was like, queen, don't stoop down. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to go down to people's levels who are below you. I've also heard it like, queens don't talk to peasants. I didn't want to repeat that one so per se, because I felt like I believe we're all equal. So queens of God know that hurt people, and their hurt is what you're experiencing. It's not personal. It's not you needing to go fix them and tell them, give them to God. You don't have time to fix people. You lead by example. So queens, the moment you start to stoop down and meet people where they're at, realize they're already below you. So that should tell you something. The only thing you should be doing is reaching up. How can I get better? How can I improve? Who can I fixate myself, my time, my energy, my money on? Who's going to help me improve, not who's going to bring my vibration down. Now, there's a difference between that and inspiring people and motivating people and bringing people up. But again, you have to have discernment of the people who are literally going to bring you down out of your queenness, and the ones who you are powerful enough to maintain who you are. Queens do not live in the past. So this is something we'll talk about a little bit deeper when we go into the 10 commandments, the rules of engagement. But this is one of the biggest ones that I had to overcome over the years. Every time I would speak, I would roll out you want to talk about a queen, I would roll out my scroll of wrongdoings, things that you did to me in the past, records of wrongdoings that I was bringing up. And I would go from what was happening right now, and I would go to 100 other things. And I quoted Asia here. All of these are quotes that someone has told me over time that has taught me things that I anchor into to embody my queen. And so Asia, whenever I would be venting to her, because she's one of my queen counsel, as she would call it, she's on my board of directors. She's one of those people who I can trust, who are going to give me unbiased, godly counsel. Not, girl, let's get dressed. Let's go out tonight. You need to, da, da, da. No, she's going to say, Chris, you're tripping. Chill, stop, be quiet, or whatever I need to hear at that moment. But one of the things that she always would tell me when I would throw up, as I call it, throwing it up in the bucket. So I'm just, and then, and he, and da, da, da. Make the main thing the main thing. She would be like, I don't even know what you're arguing about right now. So how many of you guys can relate to that when you're trying to air quote communicate, you're bringing up stuff from 5-10 years ago? I'm most guilty of it. I'm most guilty of it. So queens do not have time to bring up the past. They've squashed the past. They're worried. They're realizing that the decisions she's making, the way she stands today, who she is right now, is going to affect the relationship long term. It's going to affect, if you think of a queen, it's going to affect the kingdom, the queendom. It's going to affect the community. So when you think of your actions today, think of the generations to come. I didn't think of that. This was something that finally came into my awareness. And this is why I love this work, because I've been doing this work for almost 10 years and I'm still peeling back layers of my onion. You always will. For the rest of your life, you're going to be peeling back layers of seeing things another way and being closer and closer to your true essence. But one of the layers I recently peeled back was I realized I act impulsively for now. I'm mad now. You're going to hear my voice now. We need to handle this now. And I always thought that was a good thing. It meant that I was not confrontational. It meant that I knew how to confront things and I didn't hold grudges. But no, it also meant that I was impulsive and immature. It meant that I wasn't thinking, arguing in front of my children, how that's impacting them, how that's creating childhood trauma, how that's creating confusion. So a queen is aware that what she does and says right now is impacting tomorrow, the next day, and generations to come. Queens think way bigger than herself. They think way bigger than the moment. And I think that I'm going deep on that because you've got to get that in your mind. So how do you embody this? Queen confidence is one of my favorite things, is teaching confidence. And I believe when you're confident, you diminish so much need to move in a low vibration because you're so keen to who you really are. And so I'm going to give you the 3 things that cause you to embody queen confidence. Okay. So the first thing is identity. Again, we go deep into identity in her playbook. So I can't teach you everything in one masterclass, but what I am teaching you guys is the core elements. Okay. So when you have identity, you know yourself, you love yourself, and you're being yourself. Knowing yourself means you know that you were made perfect in God's image. So you're not worried about, you're not spending your time. Everything I'm telling you guys, I'm guilty of. Okay. So before I realized my queen energy, before I knew who I was spending my energy on Instagram, scrolling Instagram, comparing myself, looking at what I wasn't, looking at the women who were around my husband, thinking that they were better than me, that I was less than. But when you step into your queen energy, your identity in Christ, you realize that no one can be you and you can't be anyone else. So if your man doesn't love and respect and adore you for who you are, then maybe he's not meant for you. Queens are not going to mold to be accepted. Queens just are. Queens literally just are. And so the queens know themselves enough to know that they have the power of the spirit. They know that when they lean into the spirit and not the flesh, they're different. They're automatically different. They're protected in prayer. When I picture a queen running a kingdom, I keep saying a kingdom, but when I picture a queen reigning, she's got to have downtime. She's got to have focus time. She's got to have time that she's connected to her source. She just has to. So A queen knows herself because she's with herself. She's clear of who she is. So she's not moving in frantic energy of like, oh my gosh, someone just said something, I'm taking it personal. She's like, nah, that's a personal problem. When you start to learn, you start to learn that has nothing to do with you. So she's self-aware. She loves herself. She respects herself, and she's always practicing self-mastery. And when I say you be yourself, that's authenticity. People pleasing, proving yourself. So many of us are trying to prove we're enough to our man. Your man already chose you. He knows you're enough. So now act like it. The problem is you're not acting like it. You don't know you're enough. So you're taking yourself out of what greatness he already saw in you. Queens are focused on giving their gifts, so they don't have the time and energy to work on and focus on the petty things. They're honest and sincere. So we're going to go deeper in that on the being yourself, because a lot of these they merge into each other, right? So I already noticed I started going to the second one. So the second embodiment of a queen energy of confidence is having awareness. Awareness is, I know that I'm 100% responsible for my life. Queens are not waiting for anybody to do anything. They are the ones leading the way. What they lead, what they speak, what they order is what people follow, what people do. People follow her lead. So queens recognize her triggers. She recognizes, oh, I'm triggered right now. I need to exit left. She recognizes that every breakdown, every argument, queens aren't like, uh-oh, there's a fire in the community. I need to abandon the city. No, a queen says, oh, there's a fire in the community. What do I need to learn? What do I need to put in place to prevent the next fire? Queens don't run. Queens don't hide. They stand in their power and say, let me speak life over this. Let me learn from this. Let me understand, how did this happen? What was missing from me that my people didn't follow suit, that wasn't prepared for this? They're responsible. They're not blaming. They're not taking things personal. They're not saying, I'm a bad queen because there's a fire in my community. I don't know why I came up with that analogy, but you're following, right? So queens don't blame. They don't woe is me. They don't go into victim. They say, all right, let's keep moving. How do we learn from this? What do we need to put in place to make sure this doesn't happen again? And they're always focusing on the solution. Queens are present. And the only way you can demand a room is when you're actually in it. So if you walk into a space and you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that, you're focusing on this over there, and you're never present, which so many of us women are guilty of. We're not present. We're doing 100 million things. I told you in the beginning, the biggest gift that I've gained over self-mastery is learning to slow down, is realizing that I was sent here with a unique gift and I need to hone in on that gift, focus on that mastery, and let the rest of the world do their part. Think of the world like a big puzzle. We're all one piece. So you don't need to be all these other pieces. You just need to realize you're one piece. And so they're in the moment, they're problem solvers, they're intelligent, and they set clear boundaries. The only way you can set clear boundaries, the only way you can have expectations, clear communication, is if you know your values, know what you stand for. It was only a year or two ago that I did the work to realize I have no idea what my values are. I have no idea what I stand for. I have no idea what I'm focused on in this life, what my legacy is. No wonder I'm so indecisive. No wonder I fall for anything. You've heard the saying, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And so queens know who they are. They know what they stand for. And then they create boundaries to reflect that, so that the people in their life will understand what they need and what they want. And this is probably my favorite slide of this whole training, because I love feminine energy. I'll never forget years ago, it was spoken over my life that I would be the bridge of like the Oprah meets Marilyn Monroe. And what this person meant was, they were like, something about your spirit, you're called to bridge that powerful A-type masculine woman with that soft, feminine, loving, pure woman, right? That feminine energy. And I didn't even know what this meant yet. I had never heard feminine energy. This was like 7, 8 years ago. But I'm starting to see that come into fruition, because when people experience me, I always thought I was super masculine, because I've got the masculine on lock. Some of the masculine energy is you're decisive, you have integrity, meaning like you move, you keep your word, you're focused, you're confident, you have structure, you follow through, you're a finisher. So I had a lot of masculine energy. I was a doer. I was a go, do, get it done, bulldoze over people. So of course there's positive and negative elements of masculine, but I had a lot of the good and the bad, but I also didn't realize that I had this natural feminine essence. And I believe that what you see on this slide is why people experience me as such a feminine, because I understand what surrender looks like. As strong and independent as I am, I know how to surrender. A lot of women don't like the word submit to your man. I know how to be strong and bold and powerful, but also submissive and surrender and allow my man to lead. I told you guys, I don't know on what day, but I told you this week that men just want to protect, provide, and please. Well, guess what? If you're Miss Independent and you are wearing this masculine shell of I got it, because Miss Independent is actually a trauma response. It's actually I can't trust anybody. I can't depend on anybody. No one's going to help me. Men will leave me. No one supports me. I have to do it myself. And I shared with you guys yesterday a little bit of where that comes from. You know, being a little kid, your parents are overworked and overwhelmed, and they're like, what? When you're just asking to help tie their shoe or get some water. So we grow up with this trauma response of, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. I can't depend on other people. Well, guess what? God actually wired us to do life together. He wired us to be interdependent. He wired us to not know it all. He wired us to like, if for example, Asia and we talk every day. She's been my godly counsel. So we were talking, my spiritual advisor. So we've been talking, and one day she was like, it's amazing how God created us to be a yin and a yang, because where my strengths are, she may have weaknesses, and where her weaknesses are, I have strengths, or you get what I'm saying, vice versa. And I believe that's what it's like with everyone. The moment you think you're too good, or you know it all, or you can't be supported by someone, is the moment you harden yourself and you take away your feminine. Surrender yields trust. And so if you're not trusting your man is going to protect and provide for you, because your subconscious says men don't provide, I got to do this myself. I realized this was me. I didn't let my man take care of me. I didn't know how to let him provide for me, because I watched a single mom grind and do it herself. So my theory, my subconscious brain said, nah, I don't trust no man, because at any given moment, I saw an aunt and uncle get a divorce, and she was sitting pretty, and then he up and left, and then now she had to fend for herself. That's never going to happen to me. So I hardened my feminine of surrender and trust to be taken care of. And I said, I'm going to do it myself. Many of us women are stuck in that mentality, and rightfully so. Men are not in their masculine, because we're in our masculine. We've got to balance it back out and get back into a surrender, because guess what? And I talked about this yesterday. At the end of the day, guess what? You know how, because I already can hear some of you. Nope, I hear what you're saying, Crystal, but I'll be damned if I'm asked out. I got kids, I got bills to pay. Okay, guess what? When you trust God, when you know that God has got you, when you know that God will provide for you, when you know that God will never leave you hanging, then you can give your heart to a man. Then you can trust a man, because that man is not your provider. He's not your source. He may be a vessel of your providing. He may be a vessel of your source of energy, your source of strength, but he is not the source of strength. He's not the source of provision. So when you learn to trust God, when you're in your God-given identity and you surrender to life and you flow, that's how you master the feminine. Then you're able, when you can surrender and trust and allow, then you can affirm your man. You can acknowledge him. You can admire him, appreciate him, accept him. Acceptance is a big missing link. Many of us women are not accepting of our men, and I'm preaching to the choir right now. I am not, these A's, affirm, acknowledge, admire, accept biggest challenges for me. I'm being honest. I know this for a fact because I know so well. I'm so fixated on what you're not doing, who you're not being, how you're not doing what I want you to do, that I forget to admire you. Because no, I'm not admiring you. I'm admiring those people on Instagram. I'm admiring the people on TV. I'm admiring this person and that person. Has anyone been guilty of, oh, my friend, her man did this, da, 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 or you're telling your man, or look at how cute, did you see such and such's post, just to like try to passively show your man what you wish you had? That's not how we communicate. Queens are straightforward. They're honest. They're direct. They say what they mean what they say. So when you trust and you know that you're protected and you move in faith that God's got your back, you can let go of control. Control is the biggest killer of the vibe. Trying to control everything, trying to do everything. Nope, I don't need your help. You can't do it as good as me. Nope, you can't go to the grocery store because you're not going to pick the right avocados. You're going to get the wrong color bananas. Sis, like, let that go for once. Like, every now and then, let your man go to the store. I had to learn this the hard way as well. Why didn't you just get this? And it's like, instead of complain, just say, thank you so much for going, and just make do with what you have. You've got to learn to pick your battles with your words, right? So, control, critique, complain, those are the biggest C's that kill and that block you from affirming, acknowledging, and accepting. And I already talked about that masculine and feminine energy, but I'll tell you that when you are in your queen energy, you just are. You're just there. So again, picture that queen just floating through the room, and when she arrives, she's there. She's just there, and she's in her essence. She's aligned. She's balanced. So many women seek balance. What you're really seeking is that masculine and feminine energy coming into alignment, which really is like also a form of balancing your spirit and your flesh, knowing who you are, rooted in your creator, but also using your flesh, your gifts, your talents, your voice, all of the things that God equipped us with in the flesh, in the body, for the good, for in our favor, not for the enemy, because we at any moment we're either speaking life or death. So just like I know some of you guys like to screenshot things, so just to break these things down, queen confidence is not these things. It doesn't. Oh, that was weird. Are you guys still there? Can you guys put in the chat? I don't know what I just touched, but
yeah, we're here. We can still see it.
I don't know what that was. That was weird. Okay, so just for a visual breakdown of that, when you are doing these things, I want you guys, one of the tools I want you to take from this of self-awareness. So I want you to hear me in your brain, or however you need to remember it. When you start to control, critique, complain, play victim. If you don't know what playing victim is, it's woe is me. You did this to me. This is happening to me. Why me? Instead of, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is awesome. What am I going to learn from this? Right? When you're trying to correct and needing to be right, righteousness is a huge killer of that queen energy. Queens don't need to be right. Queens are open-minded. Queens see both sides of the coin. Queens listen to all the people. They listen to all sides of things. And then they make a decision based on what works best for the community, best for the relationship, best for your other party. They're not selfish. They work in favor of the better good, not just themselves. And manipulation. So when you start to do these things, then I want you to be like, oh, I'm out of my essence. And when I'm out of my essence, I'm killing the vibe. And when I kill the vibe, I'm not setting myself apart, and I'm opening up doors. I never want to make it seem like I'm saying, if you kill the vibe and you don't do this, and your man's going to go looking other places. But I'm just saying you're opening up the door for your man to be unsatisfied and to be unhappy. And then you're going to be wondering why. But I did everything. I kept myself up, and I cooked and I cleaned, and I gave you my babies, and I gave you my best years. Well, why did you leave me? How could you do this to me? Victim, right? Maybe because you're a nagging psychopath, and you invade my privacy, and you cuss me out all the time, and you put your hands on me, and you disrespect me. I don't know who I'm talking to. I know I'm not talking to everyone, but hold on, because I must be preaching, because things are just starting to pop up out of nowhere. All right, so we're going to move on. So when your relationship isn't operating at its highest state, one of those three things we talked about are present. You don't know yourself, so you don't know what you want. You don't know how to communicate it. You don't know how to get the lesson from it. You're not being yourself, and you don't love yourself. And this was me. I've been sharing my examples all week long, and I literally almost lost everything. My husband took my ring. I'll never forget, we were in the car after leaving a club, and I threw one of my fits, and he just had a breaking point and was like, I'm tired of being a good man and you just throwing fits, disrespecting me, invading my privacy, controlling what I do, who I do it with, manipulating me, being jealous all the time, being so insecure. I might have already said invading privacy, not trusting me, constantly needing to be right, nagging him. I was very selfish because of all of the above. And I just really undervalued him. I was constantly making it about me. You, this, you. And he was fed up. He was tired of it. And your man will get fed up. I've seen women get blindsided because you think like as the queen, the ball is always in your court. Nah, sis, sometimes your man will get fed up and he will walk out on you. You're not always the one who gets to choose when to leave. And worse than that, unfortunately, a lot of men, and this is very sad, I wish that more women and men would have more integrity to just leave. But unfortunately, humans are so they don't want to hurt feelings that they will stay thinking they're doing you a favor by staying, but they'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll check out. And they think like, well, like I'm mad at her, I don't really respect her, but I don't want to leave her. No, you don't want your man to check out. You want him to be present. You don't want him numbing out on the video game and like leaving, like staying at work all night and not wanting to come home. You want him to be excited to come home. So this is where I created the answer. And like I said, I promised you guys today that we were going to go over tools and things, and I'm going to go into next, we're going to go into the rules of engagement. So how to communicate, how to put all this stuff together and really communicate in a solid way. But one of the things that I want to share before we move into that is why I created her playbook, because what I get all the time is women asking me, how do I go deeper on this? You said this, what did you mean by that? How do I bring this to life? I try this, but I fail all the time. I've been failing for years. I've been teaching this and I still fail. So it takes practice. It takes time. It takes feedback. My life didn't start really transforming until I started getting feedback. When I graduated from just consuming content online, listening to sermons, listening to podcasts, that worked for five hours, 5 days. Fired up after a conference. I'm a new woman. I'm going to do this and I'm going to stop going through his phone and I'm going to da 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 da. And then it trickles down and it's like a drug. And I just needed another drug. I needed another drug. And so what we do in the program is we start to bring it to life. We start to get the tools. We start to apply it. And like I said, for those of you who have done season 1 through 3, or you've worked with me prior to her playbook, the biggest shift that we're making, because we're redoing the modules, we're redoing the workbooks, is now what we're going to be doing is I'm taking out all the principles, because I realize I teach principles all day. I teach principles for free on my podcast, on freebies like this, on masterclasses like this. But I don't want to just teach you things that you're not going to actually do. So each week is going to be a concept with a challenge that you're going to, not necessarily a challenge, but with an assignment or a thing that when you come to that live call, we're going over it. How did it go when you did that? Let me see that vision board you created. Let me see, we said we were going to work on systems of setting yourself up for success in the home. What did you do? I want to hear from all of you guys. So it's going to be a way another level of accountability, because last time it was more, you learn the modules, and then it's on you to go and actually apply it. And you were able to slip through the cracks. We're not slipping through the cracks, because one thing that God told me right now in this season, he's rising up leaders. He's rising up his children, because we are in the end times. We are in days where we're so distracted. We're so distracted, even by our relationship. This relationship is not going to heaven or hell with you. This relationship is not going with you after this life. So who you are in this life, with your man, with your kids, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your Instagram, is who God's calling you to be. So one of the goals of this masterclass and this next wave season of Her Playbook is for those who are not playing anymore, for those who are not going to be mediocre, who are not okay with just consuming content, feeling good for a minute, and then going back to like, oh, but I'm still going to check his Instagram, but I'm still going to go through his phone, but I'm still going to leave my house a mess. And I don't mean a mess literally, I mean like emotionally. Declutter it, get rid of the baggage, the energy that's not serving you. So what are the prices you're paying? Because I will tell you right now, people say they're in, they say they're interested, but then they will be like, oh, but I'm too busy. Oh, but I can't do that day. Oh, but I need to pay for this, so I can't make the investment for that. This isn't for you. This is for the woman who's like, my life is failing right now. My relationship is failing. I don't want to pass this on to my kids. I don't want to lose my relationship. This is for the people who are, I'm tired of being inconsistent. I'm tired of not moving forward. What are the prices you're paying? If you don't anchor in to what you're paying for not actually seeing the results, you will just keep consuming content for free and just keep going through the motions. You're not going to go that extra mile and invest. So imagine what it would look like if you knew exactly who you are, if you did walk away with what your values and your morals were, if you did walk away being clear on like what you're doing in this life and how you're going to get there, what your goals are, being confident, getting clear on what's stopping you from being in that confident queen energy. You're continuing to learn and grow, and what's it costing you to not be being bold in your purpose and in your relationship. So me sharing Her Playbook with you is an opportunity for you to know what that looks like, to take that next step, to go from consumption to application. This might be the answer to your prayers. If you're praying, God, please fix my man. God, please fix my marriage. God, please fix communication. God, please show me how to start this business. God, please help me be consistent. God, please let me be more confident. Please let me meet valuable friends who fill me up. I want to have friendships like the ones I see on social media. If you're praying those prayers, don't miss the answer to your prayers. God answers miracles through people. He has sent me to be the vessel for somebody. I don't know who that is, but you know, if you're being called, you know who that is. So this might be what you've been searching for. So the drum roll, you guys already know, it's Her Playbook, season 4. You are invited. I really wanted to do this here before we go into the last part of this masterclass, because I don't want anyone to miss it if you have to drop off, and you can always come back to the recording, but I really want to hear if this is for you. If you've been interested, I want you to drop in the chat details, please. I want you to say details, please, so that we can send you a special invite. We can get in contact with you. We can answer any questions that you have. Okay. So Her Playbook is a group coaching program designed to empower partners of pro athletes and the women who can relate to take her life and relationship to the next level by transforming her connection, communication, community, consistency, and confidence. I have narrowed down those C's because I find that those are the core areas that women are lacking and missing. So again, I already said who it was for. What do we cover? So I broke it down. Like I said, we're changing the structure. So if you guys don't know, Playbook, Her Playbook, not only was a play on our men having coaches, our men having strength and conditioning coaches, a head coach, an assistant coach, a position coach, a rehab coach, a nutrition coach. Our men are the athletes with the talent, but they need outside people to show their blind spots, show them how to watch film, show them how to make better plays to win. Everybody, in my opinion, gets to have that in their life. So if you don't have that in your life, make sure you get it. You can get this. Go join a Bible study, join a community group, but this is just another way to get support, hands-on coaching. I have many clients who say they're in therapy and they're ready to ditch their therapist because they've gotten more results here. It's not snubbing therapy. It's not saying don't do it. It's saying this is collaborative. It works alongside. So I broke this down in play, because I believe play is your compass to living your best life. So when you know your passion, your purpose, your pleasure points, when you know love, like real true love, when you're aware and you're youthful. Youthful is being bold, unapologetic, confident, knowing yourself, as you can see on the slide, resilient, getting back up when you fall down, being authentic. Children in their youth are authentic. They're not molding themselves to be like somebody else. They're not trying to be someone they're not. They're not comparing themselves. They're confident. They're unapologetic. They'll go out looking crazy to society's standards, but be like, yes, I'm here. And what? Give me what I want now. I don't take no for an answer. So it's returning you back to that energy, tapping into your creativity, your faith, your spirituality. I don't know if you've heard the saying that children are closest to God, but children are closest to God because they're the least jaded by society. They're the least jaded by the devil being in their mind saying, you're not enough. You don't have what it takes. You this, you that. So we were turning back to that essence that God created you, knowing who you are, being bold and confident. So we talk about passion, we do vision, we set goals, we learn how to set yourself up, systems, whether it's hiring a babysitter or learning how to manage your hours, teaching you how to time block, how to use your mind. There's a left brain, a right brain. So there's a lot of different things that you learn. One of the things I'm adding this time that I used to teach, but I took it out when I started focusing on relationships. And God told me this season, he's like, money is one of the biggest problems in relationships. So I'm having one of my good friends. She's a self-made millionaire. She owns her home. She's only maybe 40. She is married. She is very successful. She just bought a Tesla in cash. So she knows how to build wealth, and her mission is for women to build wealth. And this isn't to say you need your own separate wealth from your man. It's just to say, if you're interested in contributing, because I do attract a lot of women who want their own thing. It's how do you have your own thing without sacrificing your home front? And she calls herself a life engineer. So she's going to come in and teach money flows, money systems. So I realized that one big thing that stops people in relationships, but also from following their heart and playing, is money. So we're going to be going over money, setting up our systems. In the beginning, we're going to set goals. We're going to celebrate those goals. So there's lots of healthy changes. So you can see this, screenshot this. It's hard for me to tell you what her playbook is without doing it, because it's different for everyone. Some people come in and their businesses skyrocket. I know Nastasha, she's always coming in and out. She was one of my first clients. She is killing it in her business now. So it's like some people just wake up to their potential, their confidence, and they go kill it. Some people it's, oh my gosh, my marriage was saved. Some people it's like, I'm a better mom. Some it's all of the above. So I don't know what will come of it from you. And so I just try to touch on a few things. When is it? It's every Tuesday. September 21st is when we start. We meet right here on Zoom. So unlike how I talk at you on podcasts or Instagram, you're on Zoom. I will tell you another change is you will be on camera. So you're going to be on camera. You're going to be engaging. You're going to be speaking. It's not me talking the whole time of the call. The call is not a teaching moment. There's modules for that. So the calls are where you're getting active coaching. So how it works is you will get your own login. You will have a module platform. You'll watch the weekly module, which is where you'll learn, just like you've been learning on the challenge. You'll learn the concept, the principle, the whatever it is that we're teaching. And then you'll have the workbook pages to accompany you with the exercises. And then you will bring those to the call. So even if you don't do them on your own, you're going to be doing them on the call, because that's what we're going to be working on. So you're going to be held accountable that way. I do work through a 5-step framework, which is vision, identity, healing, growth, and contribution. So you're going to go through different phases of this. It's getting rid of what's stopping you. It's getting clear on what you want, who you are, and then it's how to bring that to life. And the how is how to communicate that with your man, how to keep your home in order so that you can follow your goals, how to manage your money so you can save for the things you want. So it's working on the hows. So I kind of just went over this verbally, but again, you get a weekly live coaching call with me, weekly transformational modules, the workbook. We have a private Facebook group, which it will be very active because of all of the exercises. And of course, like just recapping, you can expect to master these things of consistency, confidence, community, connection, communication. So Don't take my word for it. If you're on and you want to put I see some people already said her playbook is real deal. I can't see this chat right now, but if you have done her playbook and you want to share your 2 cents, please do in the chats. But I put a few testimonials. If you guys want to just screenshot these and read them later, I'm not going to go in depth. Amanda is actually my brother's girlfriend, and she and I worked very closely. She actually did the leadership program that I learned what I teach from, and I saw the results. I saw the changes in her and my brother's relationship, and what they have is so beautiful and incredible. So she is a huge advocate of this work. We geek out on it every single day. When we talk to each other about our relationships and our life, we have all these principles to anchor in, and it just makes our life that much more fruitful. Hope was a client I loved working with. She really geeked out about the autopilot and the childhood trauma. So that comes in the healing modules, where you start to look at these beliefs in the back of your mind that you didn't even know existed, these things that are operating that you're not aware of. And so she loved learning about blind spots. Reese has been a raving fan of the community. She's been working with me since I started doing this years and years ago, and she has just been such an advocate. She's found more confidence, more vision, all of that. And then there's some screenshots. One of my favorite ones is my man says the same about me, which was me saying something to her we related on. And then she says, "Thank you, Crystal. This is life-changing. You need a Nobel Peace Prize." So I'm like, okay, if I ever just had to have one testimonial, that one's it. As well as listening to your podcast. I love you so much. Thank you for being my coach. She says she lagged on a testimonial, but she's like, I'm wanting to dump my therapist. So again, it's not about dumping the therapist. It's about, I believe therapy is very healing, and it's like going backwards and working on the stuff. We need to do that some more than others. Coaching is progressive. It's like, all right, here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to go. How am I going to get there? Take me there. Let's go. Let's get there. We got a championship to win, right? So it's just a different form of focus. And that's why I believe a lot of people say that about their therapy, because it's very progressive. Okay, so you guys got that. You could screenshot that if you want. Imagine waking up each day excited, having trust, connection, that spark, feeling valuable, feeling supported, having dreams and goals. I think that this is the biggest investment you can make in yourself. I remember back when my husband was playing in the league, it was nothing for me to go and spend thousands of dollars on a trip, or thousands of dollars shopping, or just all the money that I spend to keep my visual up. Or every day, I literally, when I smell the smell of like a Home Goods, it reminds me of when he was in the league, because I was so bored and idle that I just shopped every day at like all the stores and bought new things for the home. So we spend money all the time. We spend it on our kids especially. But I do notice that one of the biggest things is for women to invest in themselves. And so again, put details, please, if you're interested in joining in her playbook and you want to join season 4. I'm going to give you the details, what the investment is right now, and then we're going to jump into the closing of this masterclass, which is the 10 commandments or the rules of engagement. So details, please, details, please, detail, please. That way we can follow up with you. Make sure you have the special invite, have all the links. But I am going to share with you that people don't change, their choices do. So you have 2 choices right now. You can get off of this masterclass and go and apply it and do it on your own, and that's going to be great. You're going to get results. Or you can get off of this masterclass and do the application with me and with a community and get even greater results, because you're going to stay in it. You're not going to get too busy, because every week you're going to have that Tuesday call. I will tell you, women who do her playbook look forward to Tuesdays like their Fridays. It's one of their favorite days of the week. It's community, it's connection, it's fun. It's when you learn, you feel your soul, you leave that call feeling fired up, ready to go be your best self in the week. And again, a lot of things I hear from many powerful women, because I've worked with some powerful, powerful women who I'm like, oh my God, you can learn from me. But that was when I realized we all learn from each other. One of the things they say is it's not even what you're learning, it's having that accountability to put it into practice and to be reflected back to when you're not applying what you know. So it's not even that you're learning these rocket science things. Most of what I've taught you, I bet you already knew, but you're just like, dang, she's right. Oh, I need to do that. And so hearing that over and over again. So what will you choose? Because you're never going to change. You're always going to be the same fleshly person, or the spiritual soul in a fleshly body. And so all you can do is change your choices. And so I hope that you will choose to go with me. So here's the investment. You've got the coaching, the modules, the workbook, the private community on the Facebook group. It is a $2,500 investment. I always give a $500 what's it called, like fast action bonus. So if you sign up today through Monday, you will get 500 off. So you'll be able to join her playbook for 2,000 even, or there is a payment plan if you want to do that. So it's broken up into 3. Again, some people are like, oh my gosh. Some people are like, oh my gosh. So either way you feel, if you wanted details, let's get in touch. Don't let the money stop you, because money is just value. And this is just a reflection of how much you value yourself, your real self, your soul self, not your physical self, not your visual self, not your home self, not your vacation self, but your soul self. So it's not unheard of that it's like, oh, I don't want to invest that. I was interested, but to invest that much, it's such an investment because your life is going to transform. Today only. So if you sign up, Sarita is going to drop the links to sign up in the chat. She's also going to be giving you guys the fast action bonuses. So if you pay in full, if you're on Instagram, you're going to have to DM me or say details, please. We're not dropping links because they don't work anyways. But on the masterclass, she's going to drop the links. If you're paying in full, then you use the code that's there. If you're paying payment plan, you use the code, and that will take your 500 off. In addition, for anybody who signs up today, so before Friday ends, I'm going to also give you access to my love bundle, which was a whole nother training that I did on how I stopped being crazy, how I stopped going through my man's phone, how I cultivated trust, how I let go and let God, how I stepped into this confident woman who trusts her husband and allows him to lead. So you'll get that. And then you'll get my affirmation cards. So you'll get those in the mail. And then you will also, like I said, be able to take advantage of that 500 off. So if you want those added, the love bundle, you can work on that now between when we start in September. It'll give you something to stay connected to the work. And then the affirmation cards are just a fun treat. Then that's for people who say, I'm doing this today, because what I know for sure is the longer the gap goes between when you see the vision of saying yes and actually saying yes, the harder it's going to get to commit. The longer you let time go of not saying yes, the more you're going to say, oh, maybe next time. Oh, you know what? We're busy. It's off season. It's season. We're traveling. We're moving. We don't know if he's going to be playing next year. I'm getting ready to have a baby. We want to have a baby. That's all of those are more reason to be anchored in work like this, because life is always going to happen. You're never going to have a perfect time to do this work. So the time is always now. And to procrastinate is to have the audacity to think tomorrow is even promised. So just do it. And that's my reward to you, to act fast, because like I said, the harder it will, the longer you wait, the harder it will be, the more your brain will logically say, and let me tell you why, because your subconscious, the only job of our brain, our subconscious brain, is to keep us safe and protected and comfortable. Guess what? You ain't safe. We cracked the whip. Her playbook is not easy. It's not rainbows and butterflies. It's deep work. We dig up. We open up, we share, we are vulnerable. And by the way, there is one-on-one. So if you're like, I'm not sharing anything, you can do one-on-one with me, but we get messy because we have to in order to do the work. So that's uncomfortable. That's scary for people. So your brain is automatically like, hell no. I need to protect you. I'm not doing that. Run for the hills. You can't afford it. You can't invest that much. You have money going to too many things. You don't have time. You don't need to do another thing. Your objections are running rampant because your subconscious brain is saying, stop. We want to be comfortable. We don't want that smoke. But if you are someone who said details, please, I promise you, if you overcome those logical brain things, you will automatically have transformation just for overriding, because that's what the work looks like. That's what it looks like when you're starting a business and you're like, don't go post on social media. You need better pictures. You need more experience. No one's going to listen to you. The people who override those voices are the ones who have success. The people who say, I want to be a better parent. I want to be a better wife. And, but I'm going to start next week. Well, I'm going to start after I finish this. The ones who override and say, no, I'm going to start right now and I'm going to apply those things I learned. Those are the ones who see the results. So I promise you, if you said yes, and now you're saying, maybe later, I promise you the override of those objections is where your magic is. And this is so cool. It happens every time. Whatever objections are in your logical brain right now, those are the things you need to overcome the most. So if it's like, oh, I don't know if I have time, you have intimacy issues. Your intimacy is where your biggest block is. If it's money, you have value issues. You have low value in your life. You value yourself low, and that's why you're not creating high vibration energy in your life. If it's, I got to talk to my man, I'm going to wait from later, you have trust issues. So you're not trusting yourself that you're going to be consistent, that you're going to show up every week. You're the girl like me who buys every free program, who buys every cheap program, and then they sit in the email box and you never open them. Trust issues. The only way to overcome trust issues is to overcome trust issues and say, this time's going to be different. This time I'm going to commit. This time I'm going to finish. So notice what objections are coming up. They are pure reflections of what blocks you actually have in your life. And so if you don't move forward, take note of your objections so you already know what you need to work on the most. So will you be next? Are you joining us? Are you going to step into season 4? I would love to have you. We already have a couple of incredible ladies signed up. You're not going to want to miss this season. It's going to be so much energy because it's the first time I'm doing these modules. I'm revamping. So it's, you know, how they redo branding. It's like same quality, but new look. I'm so excited about it. So you want to be a part of that energy. Don't wait. Don't wait, because tomorrow isn't promised, and you could be one argument away of saying something that ruins your relationship. You could be one looking through the phone away from finding something that you really don't need to see. You could be one tool away from really shifting everything in your life, and you never know what that's going to be. So be open. So thank you guys for letting me share that with you. If you can't tell, love her playbook. It's my baby. I love doing this work. And so I'm excited to see who's stepping in. And I am going to complete the rest of the masterclass with the rules of engagement. So these are like 10 commandments. I teach it this way because I like you to be able to screenshot if you want, or take notes and then remember these concepts, right? So, so here we go. Communication commandment number 1 is, thou shalt find your neutral before communicating and pick your battles. So I said that some of these will be a little bit of a recap and then some won't. And so this is where you start to bring in the praise break, where you realize that not everything needs to be communicated. When you start to have that counsel in your corner, when you learn to find people who can hold you high and hold you responsible, like one of my one-on-one clients, I love when she boxers me, because she's like, okay, you know, this is happening and this happened and he this and I that, and I just want to go off and da da da. And literally just the act of her telling me what's happening before I could even hear the boxer messages, and not just one person, this happens with many, but I'm just thinking of one in particular because this happened recently. She's already deconstructed. She's already like, oh my God, after I voiced it, I realized how ridiculous I sounded, and I realized that I needed to, and then she'll take like tools that we're learning in her playbook and through her coaching, and she'll handle it. So when you got to learn how to find your neutral, you have to apply the praise break. And so this is just a visual. I want you to screenshot it so that you have it, save it in an album on your phone, and marinate on it. Go back to it. What was the R again? What am I supposed to ask? What am I supposed to do? So remember the praise break. Do not forget, because this is one of my favorite tools to use and to teach. And I have seen so many results from people who will implement this. So screenshot. And again, this is where the coaching comes to life, because you're going to start practicing it and then seeing. I always get stuck on the asking, how did I create this? I can't see, Crystal, how I created this. I can only see how he created this. He's the one. I know usually maybe it's me, but this time it's him. And I'm going to show you, no, it's always you. So let's walk through it. And then I'm going to ask you questions and I'm going to show you, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And so that's like an example of taking it from a screenshot principle to your real life and everyday experiences. Okay. So number 2, thou shalt be mindful of who you vent to and receive counsel from. I cannot stress this enough. I learned the hard way. Everything I teach, I learned the hard way. I was that girl who, because I'm such an open book, everyone in my life knew everything happening in my life. So as soon as someone messages me, how are you doing? I'm good, but and then I just go off and throw up everything that's happening. A few reasons why this is important. There's a lot of major reasons why this is important, but I'm going to start from the bottom. One, I had to learn the hard way because I am so transparent. I've always lived by the saying, I have no secrets, because secrets have power over you. The secrets that you are afraid to share have power over you. And I do believe that to be true, but that doesn't mean that your secrets have to be shared with everyone. And that's where wisdom kicked in. And God said, let me share with you something. And I recently went through one of the worst situations in my whole entire life, of someone very close to me weaponizing things that I've shared in confidence, and again, the breakdown for breakthrough. I was able to not play victim. I did. That was part of the breakdown. I played victim. But then when I let the dust settle and I reflected, I realized, oh my God, I created this. I did this because I was telling my business. And the more self-aware you become, the more layers you take, the more you'll start to realize why you share. I realized the other day I was sharing something vulnerably, but it was to make myself look messier because I didn't want to look too put together. Or I was sharing something about someone because I wanted to make myself look better. And I was saying it like I was just telling a story, but I was really telling a story because I wanted to tell my husband, like, well, you should be lucky you have a me and not a them. And so the more self-aware I become, the more I realize what's coming out of my mouth, but the intention underneath it. When you learn, one of my favorite things to learn in her playbook is intention over mechanism. What you create is always underneath intention. So if your reality doesn't reflect what you think you wanted, it's because somewhere deep inside there's another intention, and that is light bulbs. I can't wait for you guys who step in to learn that. And especially people who already did her playbook, who do it again, it's going to penetrate another level. So that's one reason. The main reason is because not everyone is mature enough to counsel you. When you counsel someone, I learned this from Brene Brown when I did her leadership program. She said, vulnerability has to be in caution. You have to know who you share with and why, because you have that girl that, girl, he did this and he did that. And she's going to be like, I'm putting taking her earrings off, putting her tennis shoes on. I'll be over in 5 minutes with the crowbar. We're going to slash some tires. Let's go. Oh, we need to go fight a bitch. Let's go. Let's go. You know when it's time to call that friend if that's the reaction you want. And you also know when, like, not to tell that friend, because you don't want that friend to hold it against you. That's another reason why not everyone needs to know your business, because not everyone will let things go like you do. I love one of my best friends who's in my counsel corner. She always reminds me, she's like, never forget, I'm a believer of things. I forget how she has like a saying, but she basically is saying, like, if tomorrow you guys are back to normal, no, I get it. Because that's what happens in relationships. Today, you could want to kill them. And in 5 minutes or 5 hours, you could be right back to like, oh my gosh, I love my husband. And so I used to be so self-conscious of like, oh, people know that me and Jason are fighting, but then I'm posting on social media, but it's because I'm over it now. I didn't work through my stuff. So be mindful of who you vent to, because not everyone's going to pray for you. Not everyone is going to speak life over you. Some people are going to hate on you. Some people are going to love the misery and be like, dang, yes, they're not as happy as I thought they were. I'm not alone. And guess what? They're not even consciously doing this. A lot of people are subconsciously doing this. They don't even realize it. So you have to have discernment. You have to know who you trust. Number 3 is thou shalt embrace the opportunity for growth. We already talked about this. This is what it looks like when you are having a breakdown. There's an opportunity to communicate with your man. And instead of, like I said, queens don't run for the hills. Instead of trying to run for the hills, instead of trying to find a new husband, instead of trying to replace him with someone else, instead of going and flirting with your little side piece or with that person who that friend who's going to fill you up and make you feel good about yourself. Instead of doing that, you're saying, this is an opportunity to grow. This is me and my man against the enemy. What do we have to do? What's the lesson here? So another tool that I want you guys to take, I've been saying it all week. You have got to be praying every day the prayer, God, what is it you want me to learn from this? What's the lesson available for me? When breakdowns are happening in your life, it's not the breakdown that you need to be focused on. It's the lesson that God wants you to learn from it. It's the, what do I need to do different? How do I need to show up different? What was my intention? I recently had this moment before I cut my hair. I'm going to give you guys an example of all of this coming together. I went to cut my hair. And so I'm like, my intention subconsciously was I'm going to clean up house. I'm going to call a few people that I have some resistance with, some animosity with. I want no bad juju when I step into my 35th fresh start birthday, cut off my hair. My haircut was representative of baptizing myself, rededicating myself to God, and recommitting my life, my marriage, my everything. So I'm going to make some phone calls. This is conscious. I made a few phone calls. Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm starting fresh. So, you know, those things that I had issues with, really, then my mouth starts going and I start saying a little too much. Well, what I said got back to to some other people, including my husband. My husband was like, why are you calling these people? What are you doing? Why would you overstep that boundary? And then once the breakdown hit, instantly my flesh wanted to go into victim mode. I can't believe that told that I called, that was supposed to be, you know, woman to woman. I can't believe that I thought that was just going to be between us and I was just clearing up some stuff. How dare they go and say something? Then I wanted to be mad at my husband. So, oh, you're on their side and not mine. Oh, so you have their back and not mine. I was trying to help you out. My intention wasn't to create the mess, because it created a mess. Because that person told multiple people and it created a mess. My intention wasn't to create a mess. My intention was actually to give you the blessing to move forward and not have me be a headache in your life. Well, that's not what happened. So when I had to sit in the shit of what I had created, how did I create this? What's the opportunity to grow? What is the lesson here for me? I had to realize subconsciously my intention was to save face. I had a feeling that that same person that was burning me with personal information was out there speaking bad on my name. So I felt like I had to clear it up. I felt like I had to go and make sure that they knew, like, I'm a good person. I'm cutting my hair. Excuse me. I'm rebaptizing myself. I am a godly woman now. I am not the woman that you knew a year ago. I felt queens do not save face. Queens do not stoop down. Queens do not have to yield their reputation. Their reputation does for itself based on their actions. So never go get your hands dirty trying to clean things up, trying to make yourself look better. But nonetheless, that's the lesson there. But going back to the example, when I had to sit in it, I realized that God was teaching me, let me handle your battles. The vengeance is mine. You don't have to get back at people. I always got you. I will always fix things better than you. Because the truth is, excuse me, is if that person was in fact shaming my name and tarnishing my reputation, it's going to make them look bad. You always look bad when you talk about someone else to make yourself look good. So it would have handled itself. God would have cleaned that up. My actions would have spoke louder. My vibe would have spoke louder. But guess what? I tarnished my reputation in that moment. So communication, not communication, the opportunity to grow is an essential part of healthy communication, because if you just focus on the problem and then making a solution, but you don't get underneath what was the lesson, how did that happen, what do I need to change in me so that this doesn't happen again, it's going to repeat itself. You will continue to break down in the same ways until you get the lesson. God will continue to allow you to break down in the same ways until you see what he's trying to show you. Stop running your mouth. Stop trying to clean up your reputation. Stop trying to make other people look bad. Stop worrying about what people think about you. Stop trying to do the dirty work. I got you. Whatever the lesson is, you've got to look at it. Number 4, thou shalt play team. So I shared this on one of the days. I think I just recently today said it, that the biggest piece of marriage advice that I got that I hold on to, and I had forgot it recently. And this is why I was like, I have to make sure this is in here. I forgot it recently because recently I got so jaded with circumstance. I got so jaded by the storm that I'm in that I realized me and my husband were enemies. We were against each other. I wasn't affirming him, admiring him, acknowledging him. I was fighting him. I was trying to prove to him that I'm right and he's wrong. I was trying to say, I'm done being the bigger person. It's your turn to be the bigger person. That's still ego. Like, God is so funny. I could do a whole training on just that lesson right here. But what I want to tell you in this moment is I had to wake up and remember this is warfare. Thank you, Asia, for being a spiritual advisor and teaching us that we're in the world, we're not of it. And therefore, because we are spiritual beings first, we are in a spiritual warfare at all moments of the day. So the devil is not just attacking your marriage, your relationship, when every couple years, every now and then, it's every day. He's trying to distract you, discourage you, disappoint you, and take you out of playing team. The moment you remember that this is me and him against the enemy, this is me and him against the opposition, this is me and him against anything that comes against us, that's when you roll your shoulders back and you're like, all right, let's go. God's got us. The battle's not even ours. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. But when you stoop down to the flesh level, you're like, oh, hell no, you this, you that, you, and you forget. Now, this isn't to say that your man's off the hook and he's perfect and he doesn't need to be held accountable. You got to learn boundaries. You got to learn how to hold your man accountable. But remember I don't remember which day it was that we went over this. We went over what that looks like is handling it with a smooth mouth. Like you guys said in the beginning, holding your tongue, not lashing out, speaking life, speaking calmly, cool, collected, so that you're hurt. Because remember, when you lash out, then you cause them to have a defense to focus on, and they're no longer able to sit in the pile of their own stuff and look at their own side of it, because now you gave them a new thing to focus on. So you gotta play team. Number 5, thou shalt be present. So this goes for when you're communicating. Like, if you know it's time, like I said, one of the things I recommend couples do is every week, like, you remember how I told you guys, take log each week. So one of the ways when you do praise breaks and you start to identify what triggered you, then take notes. I didn't like when he this, I didn't like when he that. And I told you, when you read it back in a week from now, it's going to sound ridiculous. The other day I was looking at my notes because I was writing something else, and I was cracking up at the things that I had wrote a couple of days before that. And it was just so crazy. One of them recently was like, my husband reposted everyone shouting him out on his business and like celebrating him. And I had reposted him and wrote this whole novel. And I was so shitty because he didn't repost mine. And then I went to my godly counsel and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is the shit I'm talking about. And it literally sent me to the spiral. That from a non-repost. It's Instagram, people. But this is how I know the devil is a liar. Because I have godly counsel, they said, Crystal, first of all, it's Instagram. And then they're like, why did you post it? Did you want recognition? Were you looking for validation? Were you trying to prove something? Or did you post it out of the kindness of your heart? And I'm like, I posted out of the kindness of my heart. So either way, if I did do it for validation, for approval, for a repost, then I would have had to be like, dang, I did do it for that. So that's why I'm triggered, because I'm disappointed because what I wanted wasn't met. And because it wasn't that, it was literally, I just wanted to support my husband and repost him. I was like, dang, you're right. I didn't do it for recognition. I didn't do it for, I don't need him to show that he got it. If anything, the lesson, the Holy Spirit dropped in and said, sis, you got to do better than a repost. That's Instagram, honey. I need you to be approving him, affirming him, admiring him with your mouth when he's in the house in front of you. And I said, oh God, I ain't ready for that yet. I'm not there yet. Because I was laughing like, oh no, it's like cringy for me to speak life. That's how bad it is, because I'm so used to just speaking death. It's so easy for me to speak what he doesn't do, what he isn't, how he doesn't show up. That comes like water. But to say like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You're so amazing. It's like, and I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I've done the work to dig under why, but we're not going to go into that. So today anyways. So thou shalt be present. What I'm going to give you on this before we go to number 6 is, I laugh because I know many of you are guilty of this. At least I am. And if you're guilty of this, I want to hear from you. Texting your man when you are mad. Don't do it. That's not being present. You don't even know where your man is at on the other side of that phone. You don't know where he's at. He might be at work. He might be talking to somebody in person and he's trying to look at your text. I actually started, when I learned this, like when I realized this was something, I learned this by experience, and this became one of my rule of thumbs, because I realized, oh my God, I always set myself up for failure, because just as much as my mouth is, my fingers are 10 times faster. So I will send a novel where you have to click the little arrow to open it up when he's gone and away. And it never failed that it would make the argument worse, because then I would feel like, you don't read, you don't listen. Did you even hear anything I just said? And it's like, of course not. First of all, he probably saw the novel and was like, I'm not reading that shit. I know she's mad. I'll deal with her ass when I get home, like I always do. Remember, we're training our men. Your men know you're going to go through the phone, or you're going to blow up, or you're going to send the long text, or you're going to withhold sex, or you're going to be mad. You're going to have an attitude. You're going to have the silent treatment, but you're going to go right back to being normal again eventually. So he's like, whatever. Until you learn how to set real boundaries and have real communication, your man's honestly like, here she goes again. Of course he doesn't want it, but he's like, whatever, she'll be back. So what I realized was, do not do it. And I'm still guilty of it. The last time I did it, my husband called me out on it, because he knew that he heard me teach this rule before. And he was like, what happened to not sending text messages? And I was like, you're right, because it doesn't work. So you're going to make yourself upset, because what happened is they're probably doing something. They're probably not reading it. So like I said, you're going to create another problem. They're not present. You're not present. You guys are not going back and forth productively. You're creating more problems. Your energy is high. And sure enough, if you didn't take a praise break, sis, I just know it. Because when you take a praise break, you're more calm, you're cool, you're collected, and you don't have that much to say. You actually are listening more than speaking when you're calm, cool, collected. So, because when you do it right, I'm going to get to this in a moment. When you do it right, you open up opportunity to make them have to talk more than you talk. When you do most of the talking, you're usually losing in an argument. I'm just say that, learn that from experience too. So thou shalt be present. Do not argue via text. Do not send your 2 cents via text. I don't care if your man's out of town. I don't care if he's at camp. I don't care if he's at work. I don't care if you feel like he needs to hear this right now. Do not communicate via text. And you're gonna still do it. We all fall short. But just know, remember me saying this after you hit send, that it's probably not going to work, and you're probably going to be disappointed, and you're definitely going to have to talk about it again. So, okay, I was real passionate about that one. Number 6, thou shalt be respectful. Be mindful. Respect is not my thing. And what I mean by that is, this is my biggest challenge, because I have a mouth. Okay. I'm like a dragon. I just spit fire. And I tear down, and I minimize, I emasculate, I devalue. I just don't speak life when I'm angry. And so if I don't do that praise break, I get real disrespectful. When I'm mad, I get real disrespectful. I say things that I end up regretting. I do things I end up regretting. Recently, I did some things that were so disrespectful. It makes me sick to my stomach to think about it. And that was recently, but I've done a lot of disrespectful things. And maybe your mouth is not your problem. Maybe your problem is the silent treatment. Maybe it's talking bad about them to other people. Maybe it's going and being disrespectful with your behaviors. Maybe you're one of those type. I don't personally do this, but I know people who do. They go revert back to that little secret friend that they have. They revert back to those places that they really shouldn't be. I remember I had a friend who would do that, and she got caught, and it was like, she didn't want to be caught. She didn't want to be with that person, but that was her scapegoat. That was her place of safety in that moment. And then it was like, she lost the battle in that one, because then now the focus was on her behavior. And so being disrespectful just really brings it back to you. And so be respectful. And I'm telling you, this is my hardest one. But the way you do this is where you be calm, collected. Just keep telling, like, I literally coach myself up now. Okay, it's time to talk. Okay, be quiet, Crystal. Just be quiet, Crystal. Just be quiet, Crystal. Focus on the problem at hand. Focus on the problem at hand. Don't bring up the scroll. Don't bring up the past. Okay, be quiet. Just be quiet. I literally just have to say, be quiet, be quiet. Be a woman of few words, because when I get going, like Asia told me one time when she was like counseling me before I was going to go into an argument / communication, which that just dropped in. If you're automatically calling it an argument, then that's what it's going to be. But if it's a conversation, then it's a conversation. So be mindful of your language too. But she was like, no, bro, like, don't go have that conversation, because I already know you're going to have a whole speech. And I started dying laughing, because she's right. I have my whole speech. Don't be about the speech. Be a woman of few words and make them talk, listen. So I already talked about this one in like just throughout, of sticking to one problem at a time. And so I'm just going to say that again, that what I notice when I argue is I tend to, like, let's just say we're arguing about this. And then this happens to me and my husband all the time. One of us or both of us start going, doing stuff like that, like while they're talking. Disrespectful, first of all, but that's like the body language, right? So guess what? The argument moves from over here to like, you're so disrespectful. So that's how you talk to me, bro. And then you call them bro. And then he's like, oh, now you're calling me bro. You're so disrespectful. You're calling me bro. How are you going to call me out of my name? Well, you were doing this, like, you don't want to be here. You don't want to talk about it. Well, I'm frustrated. Yeah, I'm doing this. So I'm doing that. Then they start doing that. He starts doing this. And then I'm like, oh, so now you're doing it. So you're tit for tat. Practice what you preach. Do what you want. And now we're not even arguing about, we forgot what we were even arguing about. So be mindful. I learned this tool. It was so interesting when we were doing our last counseling program, because again, we don't get help. We don't do programs like Her Playbook when it's broken. We want to stay in work, so you have the tools so that you can be proactive, right? And so we were doing this this program, and he taught us this speaker listening tool, and I was watching it and I'm like, oh my God, everything they do on this I teach in my communication workshop. The only thing that I didn't teach that they taught in this thing was they have a card. So what they do is they take a card, and you can use anything, and whoever's holding the card, I'm teaching you this as a tool because it's powerful if you use it. And hey, Jace. And like, I'm not going to lie, when I first watched the video, I was like, oh my God, this is so corny. I teach this stuff. I got to teach it and not have it be as corny. So I hope that me teaching you what I learned in there is like a less corny example of it. But like, me and my husband would try it, and it did work when we would do it. Now, by corny, what I mean is like, it's not second nature. So it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel corny. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to communicate. And so it's going to make your ego hypersensitive, and it's going to make you not really want to do it, but you got to do it. So whoever's holding the card is the one who gets to talk. So that will help you with the talking over each other and interrupting each other, and going back and forth instead of one person talking. So they say hold the card. Like I said, a lot of these things you guys just learned, but I'm gonna tell you how they say it. So it's, and you can probably Google it, YouTube it, speaker listening technique or something. But hold the card so that whoever's holding it is the one talking, and you cannot talk if you don't have it. Then when you pass the card or whatever you're holding, then that person says, okay, what I heard you say. So this is how you help yourself stick to one problem at a time. What I heard you say was da 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 da. And you're going to start to see how effective it is. Because what I know me and my husband saw was it almost got funny. So it like minimized the emotion, because I would be like, so what I'm hearing you say is you don't like me, you don't love me, and I'm not your friend. And he would be like, no, what I said was, and so it like, that was like a joke because I don't know an example, but when I would repeat back, you would see how often your brain is hearing something completely different. You're interpreting something completely different than what they're saying. That, or what they said was passive aggressive. And when you repeat it back, they have no choice but to backpedal and be like, no, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was, and then they have to come correct. So either way, when you repeat back what I'm hearing you say is, and you do like the holding the card, it forces you guys to act respectful and act like adults, mature adults, because otherwise you'll be doing this and this and this and interrupting. And I know, because this is how I argue. Right? This is how to communicate, not how to argue. We all know how to argue. Arguing is to be right. Communicating is to find a solution. And that should be on a slide so you could screenshot it. So write that down. Arguing is to be right. When you argue with someone, someone has to lose. In order for someone to be right, someone has to be wrong. But when you're communicating and having a conversation, you can respectfully agree to disagree. You can respectfully say, you know what? I don't know if I can agree with you right now, but if I don't agree with you, it's going to be hard for us to move forward. So let's revisit this. I need time to sit with this. I need to go to prayer about this. I need God to intervene. I need to go to my coach on Tuesday and talk to her about this. I need to go to my godly counsel because I don't know what to say or do right now. That's a mature conversation. An argument is like, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to go in 100 circles to prove my point of view. And you will never go anywhere because you guys will both be on the defense. And what I love about this moment is this is a download. This is not in my notes because when I teach, I usually get my best content. And this is a moment right here. I'm literally living through my arguments and I'm like, oh my God, it's because we were having arguments. We were arguing to be right about our point of view instead of trying to come to a respectful agreement moving forward. You don't have to agree on anything to have a healthy relationship. You don't. You just have to say, okay, so based on your point of view and my point of view, here's the boundary, here's the expectation, here's the compromise, here's how we're going to meet in the middle. Okay, so number 8 is actively listen. And this tool that I just taught you is going to help you listen when you hold the card or the book, or you can hold a water bottle. It doesn't matter. You don't have to create like an actual thing. Just when I'm holding the water bottle, I'm talking. And when you're talking, I'm actively listening. Someone said this in the beginning when I said, what does it mean to communicate like a queen? They said something along the lines of like listening to understand, not to just speak next. I'm guilty of that. I used to listen and I used to be like, ooh, I'm about to hit that. I'm about to kill that. And speaking of that, side note, one thing that many of us women are guilty of is we talk so much. You can imagine how much I talk in arguments and conversations. So I will go over 100 points and then be like, okay, here's the water bottle. Here's the book. Your turn. And then my husband can't remember all the 100 things I just said. So that's why you have to go like say a little bit, say what I'm hearing you say, and then move on. So when you notice yourself changing the direction, because I'll be like, okay, so I didn't like when you did this. And then when that happened, then this, and then I felt like, and then what happened was, and then I remember, and it reminds me of, and what I would like to do moving forward. And then if you could just really do this, and I would be, and oh, and by the way, and that one time for an example, and then, okay, I'm done. And then he's like, so which one of those 100 things do you want me to actually address? Right? He probably won't even remember them. So then what he's going to go off of is what he does remember. So it's really important to focus on the one thing at hand, take turns saying what you want to say, repeating it back, and then slowly taking the conversation in bite-sized increments so that you can accomplish it, right? So that's number 8, active listening. Active listening is literally the tool, what I'm hearing you say. If you don't use that, and I'm telling you, I've done it and I've not done it more times. It doesn't work when you don't use it. That's another example of, it's a little corny, it's a little uncomfortable. You're not used to doing it, but it will change your communication style. I promise you, because we interpret things based on our belief system. We interpret based on our positioning. We interpret based on our mood. Your man can say something one day and you take it like a joke. One second. Oh my gosh, how do I get rid of that? Hold on, guys. Sorry. We're wrapping up here, so of course my are you guys seeing that email thing? Because I don't know how to get rid of it. Oh, I could maybe do that. I don't know. Can you guys see the email box on the masterclass?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, I don't know how to get rid of it. Hold on. Mail. How do I force quit? Look at always trying to come in and mess with some stuff. Force quit. Mail. Force quit. Okay, I don't know how that keeps popping up. But okay, so we're almost wrapping up here. But what I was saying was it's going to feel awkward, but you got to use that tool. You got to say what I'm hearing you say. And when you do that, you're going to yield so many things of these things. You're going to be present. You're going to be respectful. You're going to be effective. You're going to be calm, collected, because you're going to have to repeat back what they're saying. And when let me tell you this, when you're triggered, I actually took this part out of this training, but because I was like, we do this in her playbook. I've taught this before in many other places. I had this on my podcast, but one of the parts of this training that I go deeper in is the triggers and what triggers actually mean. So I'm just going to verbally say this really quickly. Triggers mean not what's happening at hand. It means I don't feel heard. I don't feel seen. I don't feel understood. I don't feel supported. I don't feel respected. I don't feel loved. I don't feel valued. So when you learn to actively listen and then hearing someone allows them to feel seen, heard, valued, respected. Hearing is like and as I'm saying this is also God downloading in me. Thank you, Jesus, because I am a very terrible listener. I just am. Like, I hear what I want to hear. I'm all about what I want to say. And this has been a huge detriment to my relationship and our communication, or the lack thereof. And so, like, I'm speaking this from experience. Like, when you don't make your partner feel heard, you're basically giving them a middle finger. You're basically saying, I don't respect you. I don't value. Oh, sorry, Instagram. I forgot I put you down. You're basically saying, I don't respect you. I don't value you. I don't care what you're saying. I don't want to hear it. It's all about me. And that's that. And it's going to be very exhausting and triggering. So active listening is a game changer. Number 9 is express versus accuse. This is a big one. Okay. And here's what it looks like. The other day, when I gave you guys the example about thinking I was going on a date trip for the boat trip, and then it ended up not being for a date, it ended up being for the whole family. Accusive language would be like, you never take me on a date. You always, well, always doesn't fit there, but never always is accusive, right? You never care about taking me out. You never want to go out in public with me. You never want to plan anything for me. I always have to be the one to plan things. You this, you that, you. That's accusing. So again, I always tell people a trigger response, a trigger word is you. The moment you say you more than one time, if at all, when you say you, notice what you're saying. Are you accusing them? And can you backpedal and say what I'm really trying to say? So 2 ways to, hi, mommy. You're so beautiful with your little braids. Thank you for that. And mommy's almost done. I have like 5 minutes and I'll be done. Yeah, we're gonna go to Chick-fil-A and get ice cream. Okay, tell them to get dressed and get shoes on so we can be ready to go. Okay, so I'm wrapping up. We have one more and then I'm complete. So hang in there. And do well, and then she will see me downstairs. Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Siti. Okay, so you always, you never, right? That's accusing. What 2 ways you can handle this to express is say, the story I make up is, right? So remember those stories in your head. So I could say something like, the story I make up is you never want to go on dates with me, but I know, so giving the benefit of the doubt, I know. So if you want to express how it's making you feel in the conscious realm, then you can say like, the story I'm making up is when you don't call me, you're doing something, but I know that you're a good man. And so this is where you can affirm, acknowledge, I know you're a good man. I know you like to protect. I'm giving you guys game here. Like, I don't think you realize language can change everything. Language is magic, okay? Your words can speak life or death. So the story I make up is when you haven't planned a date night in a long time, but I know that you're a good man. I know that you mean well. I know that you love me. I know that you love to provide and please me. So what I really am trying to say is that I feel like we need a date. I feel like I'm missing spending time with you. I would imagine that. Ashley said, no, this is the one. Yes, imagine that. Imagine if you just expressed yourself and said what you're really feeling. I just want some alone time with you. I like to get dressed up and go out. I miss when you show me off and you take me out and I'm like your trophy wife and I'm your prized possession. I miss feeling like that. I feel like all I'm good for is cooking and cleaning for you. And I know that that's not true. So what I need is this is boundaries. This is communication. This is expressing yourself. But when you just pop off and say, you never, you used to, someone else would, I don't know why, instant defense, because this man is all he's gonna think is, I'm not enough for her. I don't do enough. This house, these cars, her bills being paid, my this and that is not enough. She's unsatisfied. He's gonna feel like he's not enough, and he's gonna feel like you're an ungrateful brat, and he's gonna go and defend himself, and he's gonna be like, well, when was the last time you planned anything? And you don't even know what's happening at work. When was the last time you asked me how busy I was and why I'm not thinking about planning a date? Because it's the last thing on my to-do list, because I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. Have you offered to help me? Have you this? And then he's going to be on the defense, and then you're going to go on defense and be like, I'm the woman. There's men out there who would take me out tonight if I let them. You have the nerve. I went to the grocery store today and some guy was looking at me like I was a snack. Well, what about you? You don't even notice me anymore. And then now you guys are just in the defense, going crazy. And oh my God, I'm so glad you said vulnerability creates connection, because that's exactly what I was about to say. When you express yourself, let me tell you this. Let me tell you why. Like, remember when I was like, it's like cringing when I say like, you're like, and I'm affirming, because vulnerability is hard. I thought I was a vulnerable person. I'm a transparent person. There is a difference. Vulnerability is risk. Vulnerability is risking being rejected, risking saying, I just want to spend time with you, and him saying, well, I can't, or whatever, which I usually they're not going to say that. risking looking bad, looking stupid, looking like you, like feeling like you're not the one who's supposed to be saying it. They are. Vulnerability is a risk. And I realized like that day, for example, when I was popping off like, oh, my bad. Why would I think you would ever plan a date night for us? You never do that. Joke's on me. That's literally what my little petty ass said. Imagine it, I didn't be vulnerable and share what I wanted to share because I was embarrassed. I felt rejected. I felt like, dang, he really didn't plan that date. Like, and I was processing. So it was like, I felt like and then my flesh was angry, like, and prideful. I'm not going to tell him what I feel. I'm not going to tell him how much I really wanted to go on that date with him. I'm not going to tell him how much I went and was like giddily. I know that's not a word, but I was so giddy about packing the drawer and ordering the snacks and getting everything ready for our date night. I'm not going to embarrass myself and tell him that. I'm not going to look stupid. That's your pride. That's your ego. That's your flesh. The spirit is pure love. Whoever loves first wins. And so we don't express ourselves vulnerably. And let me tell you, you think women don't have it, men definitely aren't going to do this. So your man, when he's lashing out, when he's numbing out, when he's on the video game, when he's staying out late, when he's hanging with his boys instead of being with you, half of that is because he's like, I'm not telling her how I really feel. I'm not going to be a punk. I'm not going to tell her I have feelings. I'm not going to tell her she hurt my feelings when she said that. I'm not going to admit that she makes me feel like I'm not a man. I'm not going to tell her that. So he's going to not admit to you that you emasculate the shit out of him and you make him feel like nothing. And he's going to just go and feed his flesh. Unfortunately, men and women are not the most mature beings. There's very few of us that are actually mature enough to not go find our egos to be stroked by someone else, or to not go numb out in our work, or to not go just put our head in the sand and act like it doesn't exist and then just be okay going through the motions. Vulnerability is where the intimacy and connection you crave is actually at. That's why I'm so glad that you said that, because that's the only way you're going to get it. If you guys cannot be, which takes me to number 10, if you guys cannot be radically honest, you will not have the intimacy you desire. There's a book called Radical Honesty, and I'm going to warn you, it's intense. When I read it, I was in my PhD program, and my that we had to read certain books to, learn and get equipped with this information. And the trainer said, you guys will read this book and then you're going to go and you're going to do the exercise. I read the book. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And he was like, for months, he said, then that's exactly where you need to go. Then that's exactly where you need to go, because you're resisting it. The exercise was, if you read the book, the therapist, he works with couples, and what he does with them is he takes them through radical, honest conversations, and he has them be vulnerable, and he has them tell all their secrets, because he says if you have secrets, it's secretly draining the life out of your relationship. If you have secrets, it's in the subconscious brain. You imagine if your man has a secret that he's cheated on you. Imagine if you have a secret that you've cheated on your man. Imagine if you have secrets, he has secrets. Those secrets are going to always cause a wedge of no trust, because if your man knows he's cheated, guess what he's thinking in the back of his mind? I don't know if she has. I'm sitting in her face saying I love her, sleeping with her, going through the motion. How do I know she's not? And vice versa. So as I was like, hell no, I have seen enough in his phone. I do not want him to admit to me that he's cheated on me. I do not want to know the truth. And he said, that's fine. You can go without doing it. And I'm telling you the same thing. You can go without being that radically honest. Not everyone's about that life, and that's your prerogative. But what he said, and he's proven this through time and time again, when couples spilled all of their secrets with each other and they created a true blank canvas, what happens is you find who you're really meant to be with. You find who you really truly love, because love is trumps all. So if you can, when people are honest with you, as much as it hurts, there's something in truth that sets you free. There's something in truth that says, oh my God, I can't believe you did that to me, but thank you for being honest with me. I don't think I can move forward in this. Or you know what? I'm just so glad you're honest. Let's talk about it. What was happening when you did that? What was missing from the relationship? How did that happen? And if you're watching and your man plays in the league, let's just be honest, like they're like one marriage therapist, and I promise I'm wrapping this up, but I do want to just give this example. This marriage therapist, she said that she had a couple who the husband played, not played, he was in a band and he would go on the road. So they created healthy boundaries. Her healthy boundary was, I can't help but to think that when you go on the road, you're being tempted by women. You're on the road for months on end. You are a huge star. I imagine you have groupies. So let's translate this to the pro world. You're an athlete. Women know who you are. You go on the road, and they set this boundary that I don't want to know about it. You need to keep it clean. I was like, not me. No, no, no. So, but this is what happened when they had a conversation. That was what she was comfortable with. I know that things might happen. I don't want to know about it. But what it created was a space for, if that man did slip up, he didn't have to hold like this fear and this lack of trust. He just knew this was our agreement. But when you don't have that agreement, you carry guilt, you carry shame, and guilt and shame will kill you. Over time, it will rob the energy. So I'm not telling you have to go that radical. I'm saying read the book and decide for yourself, pray on it. But what I am saying, because I also believe in God, I believe God can heal things, God can take things away. And I just know myself, I don't want to know those things. I don't want to know those things. But we did do a degree of this exercise. We did do it, and we let out our secrets. And I was telling secrets like, one time I went to Atlanta and we got invited in the elevator to a bachelor party, and there was a bunch of guys and strippers, and we were eating their free food and drinking their free drinks. And oh my God, like those are my secrets. Or one time I'm trying to think of other ones, but mine were so elementary, right? But whatever, they were secrets that I had. I didn't tell my man. I remember when it was happening, I was like, I hope he doesn't ask where I'm at. I hope he doesn't ask what I'm doing, because I'm literally like, God forbid it was vice versa. And it was a bachelorette party, and these girls were like, hey guys, we're doing this party in our suite. Come up. We have free drinks and free food. Dead. You're dead when you get home. So it was things like that, like me doing things that, and honestly, doing things like that taught me that I need to let go and let God, because I did it. It happened. I didn't do anything wrong. Now, granted, you have to be mindful of your environment, because yeah, like same thing with that boundary. I don't agree with that boundary that this rock star couple made up, because I believe in, you need to be a godly man, and you need to you need to be a one woman man. But my point of it was like, you have to communicate to understand the agreement, right? So to wrap that up, when you're radically honest, you can be vulnerable. And so when you're communicating, don't hold back. Be respectful, but be honest. Be respectful, but be honest. And honesty also looks like, don't be petty. Don't say things you don't mean. How many times you say, you need to leave. I don't want to be with you anymore. I told that to my husband recently, and it almost cost me my relationship, because I was not being honest. I was saying, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. I don't even know if I want to be with you. I'm questioning if I even want to be with you. I wasn't being honest. I was being petty, because I wanted a reaction. I wanted him to chase me and be like, what? You don't want to be with me anymore? Please be with me. Please be with me. No, he's not going to beg me. His ego is just as big as mine. So he's like, bet. So you don't want to be with me? Bet. And he started treating me like I didn't want to be with him, and I didn't like it. So be honest. Don't say things to get a reaction. Don't say things to get attention. Don't say things like whatever just to try to be passive aggressive and petty. You will build a hole. So honesty goes both ways. It's not just saying what you mean. It's not saying things you don't mean too. Okay, so those are the 10 commandments, the rules of engagement. As I wrap this up, I want to just say that two of the mottos, the mantras, the things that I live by, the things that I will hold on to forever is be what you want to receive, and whoever loves first wins. I can't stress enough that this week was all about the vibe. It was about the energy. It was about your beingness. When you start to tap into your being as a soul, and you realize that you came into this earth alone and you will go out of this earth alone, you will stop putting so much emphasis on any person, possession, or position. Nothing will have power over your soul and your creator. And what that means is You never lose by loving. We have been deceived in the flesh to think that, okay, you 3 strikes, you're out. I've been the bigger person too many times. It's your turn. No. Whoever loves first wins. So for all of my competitors like me, the way I reverse engineered this to embody it is I said, okay, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. So I'm going to love first because I'm a winner. And I had to just teach myself, like, if that's how my pride and ego needs to look at it, then that's how I'm going to look at it. And it works, you guys. I started being so like geeking out of like, oh my God, I was the first to cuddle him, even though he should have cuddled me. I was the first to speak, even though he should have spoke to me. I was the first to apologize, even though he should have apologized to me. If you do her playbook, you'll learn trigger words like should. Whenever the word should comes out of your mouth, you're out of pocket. So I used to have that in this training too, but I had to take some stuff out. We're already 10 minutes over. You could see why I could go on and on and on and teach, but you never lose by being Christ-like. You never lose by being love first. And unfortunately, but it is what it is. If you look at Bible stories, long suffering, people suffered for 40 years, 20 years. There's women in the Bible who didn't have babies till they were in their 90s, right? Or whatever the age was. That tells you long suffering. They spent their whole life wishing they could have a baby, and then God delivered. So sometimes you're going to have to test your faith. This is why in the very beginning I said, make a choice, and I'm going to end with this. Make a choice. If you're choosing to be with your partner, then be all in. There is no backdoor. Burn the bridges, burn the boats. Because when you have a back door, you'll be half in, half out. And when you're half in, half out, your heart cannot be fully open. You will not be fully invested. You cannot give all of yourself. And so stop trying to protect yourself. God's got you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. When you love, when you're light, when you're in your queen energy, you win, period. There's no losing. And those bottom bonuses are just after a conversation, after an argument, be love first by doing these things. Kiss, hug, touch, go dance. We can spend days being resentful. Don't do it. Just be the first. And so I know you guys came here for all these things, like to have romance again, intimacy, connection, shared dreams and goals, to have fun again, trust, longevity in your relationship, support. It all is rooted in communication. It's rooted in being the queen and knowing how to bring up what you need and knowing what you need. So I want to close out with the 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4-8. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not self-seeking. It is not self-seeking. It thinks of the generations to come, right? It is not easily angered. It has self-control, right? That's at the end. I'm look at me trying to rewrite the Bible. Okay. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil. Love does not lean into the flesh. It leans into the spirit, but rejoices with the truth, radically honest truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Therefore, you can never lose when you choose love. And so I hope that you marinate on this verse. I hope, like me, when I first realized, I've known this verse forever. I've been a church-going Christian for my whole life. But when I really started to break this verse down, I really realized it's going to take me a lifetime to really learn what it means to love my husband. Because I'm failing at me. I am not patient. I am not kind. I am very jealous. I'm prideful. I dishonor his name often. When I'm mad, I will talk shit about him. I will drag him. I will say he ain't shit. I will be in it for myself. I'm not thinking about my kids, my next generation, my future, the legacy, the people who are looking up to my marriage. I'm thinking about me, my flesh, my anger right now. I'm easily angered. When I'm marinated and really dwell on this verse, I could spend my whole program just breaking down this one verse. So I know that I'm not alone. I know that you guys can have that. So I wanted to give that to you guys and pay it forward to say, just marinate on this verse and see how much growth you can get just from that. So thank you so much for allowing me to pour into you this whole week. Thank you for spending the last 2 hours and 15 minutes with me, maybe a little less because we did start, like almost 10 minutes after. So I'm actually doing good on time. Thank you for sharing. For everybody who shared this, if you didn't share and you have it in your heart, please share this. Please just hit send and send this to somebody who needs to hear it, someone who's in a relationship. Thank you for trusting me and being open to receive from me. And I want to just reiterate that today, if you sign up for her playbook, before Friday is over, then you will get the affirmation cards and the love bundle and the $500 off. If you sign up between now and Monday, you'll still get the $500 off. You just won't get the extra bonuses. And enrollment will be open now until September 21st. So if you're on the fence, if you're undecided, feel free to DM me, email me, reach out to me. Message me, say details, please, one more time if you want me to reach out to you and follow up with you. But we will be in touch. We will be touching base. If you have any questions, if you're not sure how to make the investment, all of those things, I don't want anyone left behind who's meant to be in this wave. I have a feeling that God is going to move mountains in this wave. So please make sure that you get in touch. The links are already there. If Sarita's still there, you can resend the links one more time before we exit. Again, if you sign up today, you get all the goodies. Don't wait. If you know you're going to do it, don't let your mind talk you out of it. Make the first payment and figure it out. When you move, God will match you. God always matches you when you invest in yourself. So I love you guys so much. Thank you again. Yes, this will be saved. It'll be saved on my Instagram, and then it's also going to be uploaded on my YouTube channel. We will email it out. We will post it in the Facebook group. So it'll be in a bunch of places. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was blessed today by being able to share this. I was blessed by being able to remember what I preach so that I can practice it. I will see you guys all soon. Bye. All right, oh my God, I never took my camera off. I'm so dead. I swear I was here the whole time. I meant to have my camera on. My bad. Always something. All right. I'm going to save this chat so I can go back. Thank you so much, Sarita. Thank you guys. Bye.
Of course. Bye, y'all.